The auction block stank of metal and blood. Creatures from a dozen worlds crowded into the pit, eyes glinting under fluorescent lights, their voices buzzing like flies around carcasses. They weren't here for mercy. They were here for a bargain. She stood chained at the end of the row, taller than most of the other offerings, but thinner, too thin. Her skin, a pale iridescence, shimmered faintly under the harsh lights, the result of experimental crossbreeding. Her origin, a failed genetic project meant to create a hybrid resistant to planetary radiation. It didn't work. She wasn't strong. She wasn't fast. She didn't heal like the others. So she was tossed out, unwanted. Her name had never been spoken. Next, the auctioneer barked. The crowd hushed slightly, not out of respect, but curiosity. She was the oddity of the lot. One of the buyers, a thick-furred Belnari, chuckled. She looks like she'd snap in a stiff wind. Another voice, clicking mandibles, added, "We could gut her for parts. Maybe the organs are worth something." No bids came. The auctioneer sighed, looking at his data slate. Minimum bid, 200 credits. Nothing. Come now, he coaxed. This one's still alive. Might make a decent lab rat. Still nothing. She expected nothing. She had been passed around before, each new handler colder than the last. Sold from labs to collectors to smugglers. Never a name. Never a purpose. Final call. 200 credits. Anyone? Silence. Then a voice cut through. 200. Heads turned. At the back of the room, a figure stepped forward. Human. Male. No ornamentation. No weapons visible. Just calm, brown eyes and a hard jaw. A whisper ran through the room. Humans didn't frequent these places. The auctioneer blinked. Sold. He approached without ceremony, flashing a chip. The payment processed instantly. Guards unlocked her chains. She didn't move. She waited for the blow, the collar, the insult. None came. The human simply said, "You can walk or I carry you. Your choice." She stood, wobbled, and followed, out in the docking bay. His ship sat alone, its lines angular and worn. A Terran-built freighter, small and functional. He opened the ramp and gestured. Inside. She entered cautiously. Clean. Organized. No cages. No restraints. Just corridors and sealed doors. "You hungry?" She didn't answer. She expected a trick. Food units there. You can eat. Showers through that hatch. You can sleep there. No one will bother you. He left her alone. She waited in the corner, silent, unmoving. An hour passed. Then two. She sniffed the food. It wasn't drugged. She ate. Slowly. She showered. Her skin tingled and used the warmth. Later, she heard him in the cockpit, speaking to the ship. "Mark route for Terran Outpost 89. We'll need med supplies." "Acknowledged," said the ship's AI. His voice didn't raise. No shouting. No orders. Just calm precision. She slept that night on the narrow bed. The first sleep in weeks not disturbed by pain. Days passed. He didn't ask questions. He didn't touch her. He treated her as a crew member, even if she wasn't one. He offered food, access to the ship's systems, even let her sit in the cockpit during jumps. On the fourth day, she spoke. "Why did you buy me?" "Because no one else did," he said without looking at her. She stared. That was not an answer she understood. "Why does that matter?" "Because it should." He handed her a data pad. "Learn the systems. This ship isn't big, but it runs better with help." So she learned. She studied the navigation console, the engineering logs, the supply inventory. She watched how he handled disputes with station authorities, how he repaired hull damage, how he spoke to others with authority that came not from threats, but from certainty. The AI began to speak to her. It called her guest, then assistant. She found herself asking questions. What did this button do? Why route power that way? He answered every time. Then one day, they docked at a fringe station. As he bartered with a merchant, a group of mercenaries passed by. One saw her and sneered. Didn't know humans were into broken toys. She flinched. The human looked up, met the mercenary's eyes and said nothing, just stared. The mercenary looked away first. Later, she asked, "Why didn't you hit him?" "Didn't need to." She didn't understand that either. Not yet. That night, he upgraded her access. She could now monitor engines, read mission logs. He gave her tasks, small ones at first. Calibrate the grav unit. Manage resource allocation. She excelled. She found mistakes in the software. She optimized fuel flow. Her mixed DNA, once a failure, allowed her to process hybrid data systems faster than baseline sentience. He noticed, "You've got a mind for systems." She didn't know how to reply. 2 weeks later, he brought her a uniform, simple gray with a ship's patch. "You earned it." She held it like it might vanish. "You can pick a name." "You don't have to, but you can." She chose one, a sound she remembered from a dream. It felt strange on her tongue. He used it. She wore the uniform. She began to smile. She began to speak more. About systems. About engines. Then, hesitantly, about her past. The labs. The pain. The cage where they tested radiation. Exposure until her skin blistered. He listened. He didn't pity. He didn't recoil. He said, "You're not there anymore." She nodded. They landed on another station, smaller, older. He warned her, "Stay close. This place isn't friendly." She followed. When a local tried to grab her, he moved like gravity shifted. One moment the attacker was reaching. The next he was on the ground, wrist broken. He didn't boast. He just kept walking. That night, back on the ship, she asked, "Why you help me?" He said, "Because we all deserve a chance to be more than what they made us." She looked at her hands. They no longer trembled. He upgraded her access again. She now handled navigation. They flew through disputed space, mapping asteroid fields. She plotted a route others said was impossible. It saved them a week of travel. He nodded, impressed. "You think like a spacer." She felt something bloom in her chest. They were passing a trade convoy when a distress signal came in. A transport under pirate attack. Standard procedure would be to avoid it. They were outgunned. He turned to her. "We don't have to, but I'm not leaving them." She nodded. "Neither am I." They used asteroid shadows, sensor spoofing, and a bluff that made the pirates think a Terran warship was en route. The pirates fled. The transport hailed them, grateful, called them heroes. She smiled for hours after. Later, in the quiet of the ship, she stood beside him and said, "I want to stay, not because I owe you, because I choose to." He simply said, "Welcome aboard," and for the first time in her memory, she felt like she belonged. The station administrator had eyes like cold steel and a voice sharpened by years of bureaucracy. He looked over the docking clearance and then at the human and his companion. She stood straighter now, uniform clean, posture precise. "You're late," the administrator said. "We came through a collapsed NAV corridor," the human replied. "Be glad we arrived at all." The administrator snorted and stamped the approval. "One day. Don't make trouble." They entered the station. This wasn't like the others. It was newer, Terran-funded, heavily patrolled. She could feel the tension in the walls. Something had happened here. Inside, they delivered their cargo, med packs, nutrient bricks, thermal converters. The recipients, a joint alien colony team, greeted them with cautious gratitude. Their supplies had been running low since a local gang intercepted regular convoys. Later, over rations, the colonists explained. "This sector is getting unstable. Too many factions, not enough enforcement." "We've dealt with worse," the human said. They didn't stay long. But before they left, she accessed the colony's sensor logs. Unmarked ships, power signatures matching a syndicate she remembered from her past. They had funded some of the darker labs. That night, she brought it up, "We should avoid this area. The pirates aren't just scavengers. They're the same network that ran the labs." The human nodded. "We'll be careful, but if they're hurting people, we don't look away." The ship lifted. She watched the stars move, charted a new course, one that kept them just on the edge of Syndicate territory, but allowed them to reach the next supply point. It was dangerous, but they were fast, and their ship was getting smarter. So was she. They upgraded the engines together. She suggested changes. He listened. He implemented them without condescension. She no longer second-guessed her instincts. 3 weeks passed. She handled docking procedures now, talked to station authorities, managed minor disputes. Her voice carried weight. Then came the message. Encrypted. Terran clearance. Sent from command. Possible defector. Bioengineered. Escape from Syndicate control. Need extraction team. The human stared at the screen. Coordinates put them close to where we're going. She stepped forward. Then we go. The drop site was on a half-dead moon. Atmosphere patchy, gravity erratic. The defector was hiding in a shielded cave, barely alive. When they found her, she looked like a mirror from the past, malnourished, bruised, afraid. The defector saw her and flinched. You're one of us. She knelt. But I got out. So can you. They brought her aboard. The med-bay systems worked overtime stabilizing her. She monitored the readings, whispering encouragement even after the defector passed out. The human watched silently. Later, he asked, "You okay?" "I have to be. She needs me." Over the following days, the defector improved. Her name was Rel. She had knowledge, routes, caches, syndicate patterns. She'd escaped with encrypted data. But she also had trauma. At night, she screamed. She feared being abandoned. She stayed by Rel's side, held her hand, told her stories, not pain but flight paths, of stars, of engines and power flux. Things that felt solid. The human expanded Rel's access slowly, let her see the ship's workings, gave her tasks. She responded cautiously but positively. Then a signal came in. Syndicate patrol. They'd tracked the ship's signature. "They want Rel," she said. The human nodded. "Then they'll have to go through us." He prepped countermeasures. She mapped evasive routes. Rel provided override codes for some syndicate protocols. Together, they tricked the first scout vessel into chasing a false decoy drone. But another patrol came. This time, they had to run. No tricks, just speed and navigation. "Take the helm," the human said. She blinked. "Me. You know the sector better. I trust you." Her fingers danced over the console. She angled between debris fields, rerouted power to engines, cut emissions at key intervals. Behind them, the patrol lost visual. They made it to a dead zone, a place where sensor waves bounced unpredictably. She parked the ship in a crevice of an ancient asteroid. They waited. No contact for 2 hours. Then Rel said, "They're not following. We're clear." That night, they shared a rare moment of celebration. Rel smiled for the first time. The human brought out real food, not ration bricks, but Terran baked bread. He raised a toast to survivors who became crew. She and Rel clinked cups. For the first time, she felt not just accepted, but vital. They traveled again. Rel now helped with external scans. She trained under her. Together, they analyzed planetary drift anomalies, stellar radiation waves. Science that had once been used to hurt them now became something else. They landed at a research station. This one was different, run by independents, open-minded anti-syndicate. They needed help recalibrating their weather control systems. She took lead. Rel backed her up. The station chief, an old Avix with missing feathers, watched her work and said, "Didn't know hybrids could do that." She froze. The human stepped in. "Didn't know Avix still judged people by species." The chief blinked, then laughed. "Fair." She resumed work. Didn't flinch again. A week later, they received another call. This one from Terran Command. Debrief. High priority. Bring the defector. They docked at a black site orbiting a brown dwarf. Inside, the reception was cold. Human officers. Questions. Rel answered most. Then they asked her, "What was your role in the lab?" "Survivor." "And now?" "Pilot, engineer, crew." They reviewed the ship's logs, confirmed her statements. Still, suspicion lingered. Afterward, the human confronted the debrief officer. You called us. You asked for help. You got it. Don't forget who showed up. The officer grunted. They're assets. Nothing more. The human said nothing, but his silence burned hotter than a reactor core. Back on the ship, Rel asked, "Are we just assets?" "Not here," she said. The human echoed, "Not ever." Their next mission took them to a decaying ring station. Syndicate presence suspected. She volunteered to infiltrate. Her knowledge of Syndicate protocols made her perfect. Rel insisted on joining. The human hesitated but relented. They moved through shadowed halls, used old access codes, mimicked prison transfers. Inside, they found crates, genetic material, lab tech, storage tanks. She found one label with a code she recognized. Her origin. She opened it. Inside, schematics, logs, footage. Her as a child, restrained, injected. She copied it all. Rel whispered, "Are you okay?" "I am now." They placed charges. Destroyed the lab. On the flight back, she stared at the stars. "You know," she said, "I used to think I was a mistake." "You were lied to," the human replied. "But that's over." She nodded. "It is now." She didn't delete the files. She studied them, not out of obsession, but for knowledge, to make sure no one ever suffered what she had. She began designing systems, protocols, fail-safes, new defensive modules. Her ideas took shape quickly. The human reviewed them. "You've got a talent for this." "I have purpose now." One night, Rel asked her, "Do you still dream of the past?" She replied, "No, I dream of engines, of starlines, of possibility." And when she walked through the ship now, she walked as one who belonged.